Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to a special edition of the Garden Report. We have Marcus Mason out in Denver, Derrick White's trainer, updating us on how his summer's gone so far, what they're working on, how they're preparing to replace Marcus Smart with Joe Mazzulla naming White point guard a couple weeks ago. Not a ton changes, as White said on ESPN, but some interesting tidbits in there. You'll get to hear them. A meeting with the new Celtics assistant coach rather, who came out to work with them, and one focus above all that they've emphasized this summer. So Marcus Mason coming up. Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sports wagering partner of CLNS Media, the Garden Report, and running this amazing offer with football just a couple weeks away. We're almost there. Go over to fanduel.com/Boston. Check out the Super Bowl futures. Kansas City, maybe like the Patriots. I wouldn't go in that direction, but if you do, great odds. And FanDuel is giving you bonus bets every time your Super Bowl winner wins. FanDuel.com/Boston. Head over there, and every regular season win your Super Bowl winner picks up, you're going to get bonus bets. 21 plus, present in mass, first online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Restrictions apply. Max bonus bet $50 unless specified otherwise. See terms at fanduel.com/sportsbook or go to gamblinghelplinema.org for help. 800-327-5050, 24/7 support over there. GameSenseMA.com as well. 1-800-GAM-1234. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. Bonus bets every time your Super Bowl winner wins. A great offer. And here comes from Denver our interview with Marcus Mason. All right. Welcoming in Marcus Mason from Denver.
Yeah, we're in Denver right now.
On a basketball court, of course.
On a basketball.
And I love the shirt.
Oh yeah. Well, Derrick still got some hops a little bit. We're working on it.
Yeah, he threw down that dunk in Orlando. I forget what he promised. I think he promised his mom he was going to throw down in that game, and he did big time. One of those Orlando games. Marcus Mason, Derrick White's trainer. Everyone, I'd say probably going into the season, Derrick White's the player most people are excited to see take a leap off that all defensive season he had last year, shooting nearly 40% from three on over 500 threes between the regular season and playoffs. He had a hell of a year, and now he's the starting point guard of this team. I guess let's start with your background. We've talked about it a little, but how you got to know Derrick, how long you've been training him, and just your career as a trainer so far. Obviously, a former Division I coach too.
Well, yeah, that's kind of where it started. I was at the University of Denver from 2003 to 2007, and then shortly after that is when I met Derrick. So he was in the seventh grade, going into the eighth grade, and that's where our relationship started. And it was just trainer-player relationship. We didn't break out any NBA goals at the time. It was just a guy that wanted to get better, from there, it's been 15 years of just watching him every single year get better. So it's been good.
And what's the summer been like so far for him, for you? Long playoff run, but I'm sure he gets right back into it pretty quickly.
Yeah, he took 2 weeks off right after Game 7, and then after that, he was started. What we kind of do is pre-season testing for him. So we kind of test where he's at, bench press, vertical, just a lot of tests that his trainer takes him through. And then we set goals from there. And I would say the next 2 weeks after Game 7, so he took 2 weeks off, and then the next 2 weeks he was just in the weight room. So he was just lifting, working a lot on mobility, working a lot on his core and his strength. things like that. And then week 5, we got back in the gym and started doing everything. So that was the first week of July. So the first week of July, he's been in the weight room and on the court 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah, and how would you describe? I think people see the quiet demeanor, him being one of the quieter guys on the team, I'd say, but just I guess the hunger coming off that Game 7 loss to get right back at it, to get better, to really strive toward the next season. Like, how do you just see him feel in that loss? Especially, he has that great moment in Game 6, and that for me is still the killers that, a lot of people are probably going to forget that moment just because of what happened in Game 7.
Yeah. Well, one thing about Derrick, we kind of live on don't get too high, don't get too low. And so when everybody was celebrating Game 6 in the tip in, actually I was saying, hey, you got a Game 7 coming. And that's kind of been our thing throughout the course of his career is never get too high, never get too low, stay even keel, and continue to work. And so, even though, you may address it as, starting point guard or, however coach addresses it, Derrick has the same mindset, the same approach. Like he just doesn't miss days. He doesn't cancel workouts. He's very, very consistent in what he does. And he understands the goals that he's trying to reach, number one, but he also understands the goals that the team is trying to accomplish, which is actually bigger than his individual goals.
Yeah, and I saw him mentioning that on ESPN is that things don't change a ton, even though he's been named the starting point guard. And, he was starting last year too, obviously, taking the ball up a bunch. It's a similar role. But, early July, as you said, getting back in the gym, going full speed, then Marcus Smart had just gotten traded. So I don't know how much that impacts his preparation, his role going into this year. But when that happens, what are you thinking? What's he thinking at that time in terms of like what's going to mean for him next year?
Well, I think if you just go by the standard numbers, right? So obviously playing time is going to increase, responsibility is going to increase. But, Derrick just naturally, to me can accept that role. He needs to be more vocal. He needs to be more of a leader. I mean, that's what some people are gonna look at. But now he's a dad. He's getting ready to be baby number 2's coming.
Oh,
everything in his life is gonna be more magnified. It's gonna create more communication for him. It's gonna create more strategic planning for him. It's gonna create more organization for him. So to me, that just carryovers onto the court with him and his teammates. So, I don't see anything that, is going to be different. He's been a starter at the point guard spot in the NBA before. He's played a full season, played playoffs as a starting point guard. It's just what is going to be the next level to win a championship. And I think that's the thing that he's most concerned with is how does he get to another championship?
Yeah. Do you see him, initiating some more plays next year? Because, I was looking back at 2019, which I think was one of those years where he, had a bunch of pick and roll sets, a lot of time on the ball that year with DeMar in San Antonio. His pick and roll numbers were great that year. I think he was like in the 60th, 70th percentile of guys that year. Even last year, I think he was way, way up there when he was running those sets. He's capable of that. Now, he's a guy who plays off the ball a lot. They use him a lot in the screening game and all of that. But I'd have to imagine, even though Tatum's going to have the ball a lot, even though Brown's going to have the ball a lot, White's going to be running probably more sets next year, I'd imagine.
I think that the numbers probably say that, but
yeah.
Also we're not adding in Porzingis into the mix,
right?
So you still, I mean, we're going to leave it up to training camp and the coach. What is this really going to look like? And I think Joe is going to be great from a standpoint of organizing that group of 5 or 6 and I think the staff that's coming along is going to be, extremely helpful. Coach Sam Cassell came out here for 3 or 4 days and spent a lot of time with Derrick and started to talk about, behind closed doors, some of those things that they're going to be looking to do. But, I think it's an exciting group with just so many different options that's kind of how Derrick has prepared the offseason, like to play with the ball in his hands a lot. We've done a lot of screen and roll stuff, but also continue to play off the ball and be great in that role.
Yeah, and you bring up Porzingis. I want to get to him in a minute, but what was it like meeting Sam, getting to know him? That was probably my favorite interview at Summer League, was talking to him, because it just, he's got that kind of Celtic mystique. He's talking about the championships. He's talking about '08, and it's like, oh, man, this is like the golden era right there.
And I describe Coach as just down to business. Like, from the time he walked in the gym, it was like, let's go to work.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of fluff to it. He knew exactly what he was looking for. We meshed really, really well together. But I just saw a guy that, when you talk about getting over that hump, I think he's going to have a lot to do from a guard standpoint with really helping those guys get to that next level, playoff games, back-to-back games, being able to just grind through the hard times and understand how important it is, the legacy that these guys can leave with someone who's done it before and done it, at multiple places.
Yeah, and how important is that? I mean, they had Damon last year, the year before that. But, I think Tim was on one of those Spurs staffs, wasn't he? Just the former players, the guys who've won championships, the guys who've done it. Talking to different players, they really stress how important that is. And just, I guess, being in the gym with Sam, like, what's the benefit of that? Like, just walking through stuff? Is it just sharing stories? Like, what do you think's the biggest benefit to having that?
Well, I think the number one thing is, like, to show that you care, right? It's a relationship. So, I've been with Derrick for 15 years. Our relationship is going to be, what it is for the test of time, right? Like, there's never going to be a coach as Coach Derrick White in middle school, high school, Division II college, Division I college, through the entire draft process, 2 NBA teams right now. So to me, Sam showed, like, hey, I want to develop a relationship with you. I want to get to know you. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know when we're down 2 or 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, how do you receive coaching? And so to me, that was just, like, huge. Like, hey, I want to get a relationship first. And then when he got on the court, he talked some specifics, and a lot of it was a little of the nuances of the game. How to set your man up here, coming off a pick and roll. This is what you're looking for. These may be some of the options with, what we think is going to be some of the lineups. So it wasn't anything that I hadn't seen before, but just to show how much that he cared and how much he wanted to be here, I think was huge.
What's it like getting ready to play with Kristaps? Obviously, last year, the sensational post-up numbers he had, obviously a pick and pop shooter. He can score from pretty much anywhere. The one thing I'm interested in, you keep hearing it, NBA players can't throw the entry pass like they used to. And, Derrick's going to have to hit him right there on the block. How's he doing with that?
Yeah. Well, you remember now, Derrick played with LaMarcus Aldridge in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go back to the basket big, I think LA and Derrick have a great relationship, and I think Derrick really thrived in that role. Porzingis, is an unbelievable talent, and I love what he brings to the table. I think the thing that I challenge Derrick in, Derrick should have a year. This should be his highest assist numbers in his 7 years in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me, is an individual goal, because Porzingis pick and pop, pick and roll, post up. I mean, when he gets the ball up in the air, it's got a high percentage that it's going in, and that's the type of guy you want to play with.
Want to take a break to tell you about our other sponsor, one of my favorite sponsors here on CLNS and the Garden Report, HelloFresh. It's still summer, and it's tough to figure out the dinner situation. What are you going to do? where you're going to get the ingredients from, where you're shopping. Dinner prices just through the roof right now, takeout as well, all those delivery fees on the apps. Give HelloFresh a try. Get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip the trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. I've tried it many times. I've even used my own money to go back and get some more. It's just such a great option, especially me. It's easy for me because I love cooking. But even if you don't, the pre-portioned ingredients, the laid out instructions, and everything being pretty much prepared for you to use all makes cooking easy, manageable, and fast as well. All you need is 15 minutes and you'll be enjoying a tasty, satisfying meal made in your own kitchen. This is fresh. That's why it's HelloFresh. And this fall, which is coming up as well, you don't want to be in the checkout line. Leave the meal planning, the grocery shopping to HelloFresh, and the customizability is huge too. Decide when you want it, how much you want, different themes. I always go for the fish package. You can even use different dietary restrictions too, which is what makes HelloFresh so great. And it's 25% cheaper than takeout, less expensive than grocery shopping too. Just choose your recipes and receive fresh, pre-portioned ingredients you can get cooking quickly. So, key to dinner time success: variety. HelloFresh keeps your taste buds on their toes with 40 chef-crafted recipes. Again, there's so much variety here, so much customizability. You can use family-friendly, fit and wholesome. All those themes are available and many more that I love. So go to HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. That's HelloFresh.com/CLNS50 for 50% off plus free shipping. That's the offer right now. HelloFresh.com/CLNS50 and use the code CLNS50 for 50% off and free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Now back to Marcus Mason.
Porzingis pick and pop, pick and roll, post up. I mean, when he gets the ball up in the air, it's got a high percentage that it's going in, and that's the type of guy you want to play with.
Yeah, 4.9 a year ago was the high per game. I think you can definitely pass that, especially with the extra ball time. 5.6 with San Antonio that year, but
So if you go up to say 32, 30, 33-ish minutes a game from 27 and, more ball time like the guys he's playing with, to me, that's easy.
And so, what kind of drills are you guys going through? I guess kind of the primary focuses, you always try to set goals for the summer too, I'd imagine. What are the big things you guys are working on when you're in the gym?
Well, one of our #1 goals coming into this summer was for him to gain more upper body strength.
Yeah.
And for some people, that may not be, the perfect answer offensively, but I felt like with his defensive versatility, so, you go from some nice guard and Trae Young, Kyrie, to all of a sudden Jimmy, James Harden. I really wanted him to be stronger in that upper body to be able to take on some of the contact that I saw him receive in the playoffs. So I think his upper body strength not only will help him on defense, but also on offense. In pick and roll situations, getting downhill a little bit more and being able to make plays for his teammates.
And the shooting just popped last year. Obviously, I think his best shooting year of his career. You talked about that when we talked last going into the year. It was just incredible, the consistency, especially, they were relying on him to end a lot of those sets, hitting threes, playoffs even better. And that was probably the biggest difference, I think, from the first year in Boston to this year, was just how reliable he was in that sense. Looking back on it, was it a tweak to the form? Was it just sort of the repetitions of last summer, or, kind of figuring out where he was going to get those shots within the offense? What do you think accounted for that big difference?
I think you hit it on the head. Definitely was a tweak in the form. We definitely, if you go back and look at his shooting, he definitely created more arch on his shot. We talked a lot about apex shooting last summer. But Derrick's definitely a guy of being familiar. And once he understood where his shots were going to come from, his teammates and coaches had the confidence in him. He can definitely become a confident shooter. He's had that in his game, but he's also such a team player that he kind of needs a little bit of a heads up of, hey, the shots are coming here. This is when they're coming. If I see JT do this type of move, I know he's getting to the bucket, or I know he's going to a step back, or I know he's coming off the ball. So just being able to understand his teammates a little bit better. And those guys did a great job of just, making them feel at home.
And the defense, you mentioned it, all defense last year, the different positions he had at guards. This team switches a lot. It seems like he really found himself on that side of the floor too. He's always taking the charges. You told me you're not teaching the charging. that's not what they pay you for. But his defense, what do you see shine on that end of the floor? And now I think they're probably going to play a little different with Porzingis out there. Like, what are you preparing for on that end now in terms of his role?
Well, once again, until you know the schemes, it's kind of hard to prepare. So there will be an adjustment period. Once he gets back to Boston and gets into training camp.
Yeah.
I think just quickness, athleticism, and strength. Playing for the Boston Celtics and playing on this team, one of the things you got to recognize, you're hoping to play 102 to 110 basketball games per year. So Derrick White's a good basketball player. He's a great basketball player. Now what you're looking for is the longevity, right? You're looking to see how can we put together, if you want to use an example, Golden State, how can you put together 4 to 6 of those 102 to 110 seasons back to back to back. So just getting him stronger, getting his core stronger, foot speed quicker, mobility, and along with a lot of stretching, just trying to, get his body to where, 82 games regular season, and then get those 20 to 27 games in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he's one of the few guys that wants to do that. Like, that was a big thing for him last year, was hitting those 82 games. I think only with I don't have the number right in front of me, but a small handful of guys do that now, plus the playoff games you're accounted for too there. A lot of guys want to rest. A lot of guys want to build up for the postseason. A lot of teams do too, but for him, it's different. He wants to be in all 82 games, it seems, year in and year out. What's the balance there, you think, in terms of being available night in, night out? I mean, he even got out there after the ear thing in Milwaukee where his eardrum burst. Like, there's no nights off for him, but there's a balance there too, isn't there?
I think, he gets enough rest.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's early to bed and, up early, he takes great care of his body. And Derrick White, I always tell people this about him that I've known since the 7th grade. He will do every type of treatment, every type of conditioning. He will run hills. He will run mountains. He'll do all the stuff to play 5-on-5. When he plays 5-on-5, when it's game night, that's his reward. If you take 5-on-5 away from him, I don't know how excited he would be when I take him up the Red Rocks in Colorado, or I take him up to the Manitou Incline where he's got to climb 5,280 steps at altitude. He'll show up. He'll do all of that. But the on the other end, the reward is he wants to play 5-on-5. And so for him, 82 games, the fans, the playoffs, he wants to do that. I can't speak on other guys, but 5-on-5 is a reward to him.
And you talked about the team as well, the team's goals this year. They got big aspirations. I guess what you just said, I find interesting too, about like kind of the playoffs and the accumulation and the longevity, trying to get to that next level. A team right in your backyard there, and the Nuggets just kind of set the standard in terms of, playing together, executing offensively, beating the best teams. What's it going to take, from what Derrick's told you and just sort of, seeing what their goals are, talking to Sam, like what's it going to take for this team to take a leap? Because they get to the finals 2 years ago, they get to the East Finals, almost come back 3-0. They're still trying to take that one final leap that they've been, punching at the wall for a couple of years here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing is health. I mean, what did Denver have that Miami didn't have? Denver was, completely healthy, number one. Number two, I think for this team is just the ultimate sacrifice, just to lay it on the line every single night, so they can build the chemistry that it's going to take that the Nuggets have. They, 4 or 5 years, pretty much their core group, right? And then they bring in Bruce Brown, and I think, no knock on Bruce Brown, but I think Porzingis is a huge upgrade as far as adding a piece. And those guys made the ultimate commitment to finish the goal. And so I think for our team, we have the pieces. We have everything that we're looking for. It's just being healthy and making that ultimate sacrifice in the end.
And in terms of the vocal piece, the leadership piece, losing Smart is a tough one in that regard. What's it going to take just, from being around teams, from knowing Derrick, from knowing this team a little bit, to overcome that, kind of losing the most vocal guy in the room, the guy who's going to, stress accountability and be loud, be in people's faces, be in the timeout huddle, saying everything. What's it take to overcome a loss like that?
Well, I think this group does it as a unit. I don't think it's one guy. I even think from a coaching standpoint, from even at the top with Brad all the way down, I think the pieces are in there. You bring a Sam Cassell in, man. Coach can talk enough for everybody, just in his own right. And I haven't got a chance to meet the other new coaches, but I think that right there in itself is going to make our team better. I think Derrick has to be a better leader, better communicator. But I think, JT is going to be better. JB is going to be better. Sometimes you'll see Marcus Smart is great, and I love Smart. But sometimes if I'm the only person talking in the room, right, that doesn't mean everyone else in the room can't talk. That just means they may not have the opportunity or feel that it's their moment to talk. So I think even with Marcus's absence, I think everybody as a collective unit, is going to pick up the vocal piece. And Al's still there. Al's phenomenal leader. Derrick raves about Al's leadership. So I think they'll be okay in that regard.
All right, a few rapid fire ones before we get you out of here. Everyone saw the dunk, him throwing down, and I don't know what it was, a pro-am or something like that, just a pickup run.
It was called a pro-am. I think It was organized conditioning, in my opinion.
Were you there for that, or you just saw the video like everybody else?
No, I actually showed up for it.
All right. Just like the shirt says, he can still get up there and do that.
Yeah, he can. He still got it.
Everyone's curious too about the he shaved the hair off. He's going bald now. What did you think of that move by him?
He's a grown man, and that's what he wanted to do. And I like the look.
I like the look too.
Is great. Yeah, I like the look. So it's good. I think it's going to be a good thing. I don't think hair makes shots. I'm all into making shots.
Yeah,
I'm all into making shots. I'm all into making shots and playing defense. I'm not a how you look type of guy.
And then I guess the last one is, what do you think is going to surprise people most about Derrick this year? I think, fans have seen it all now for the most part for a year and a half here. But if there's one thing, you mentioned the strength, is he going to come in looking a little more brolic? Are people going to notice it, the shoulders or something like that? What's going to surprise people most, you think?
Well, I think his upper body is definitely bigger. People will see that. But I just think they're going to see Derrick White 2.0. They're going to see there's a whole nother level. So if you take Derrick's best years in the NBA, he's going to be a notch better than what anybody's seen. So that's what I think will surprise people, that on a night in and night out basis, he's going to be an elite level player.
And I guess one more I'll throw in there is how you took in that shot, because I still can't get over it. Like it's probably my favorite moment ever watching a game in the couple of years I've covered the league so far, is him just sneaking in on the putback. We were at such a weird angle behind the basket that I saw the shot pop up again, and I was like, did it like roll around the rim and like bounce back in? But then I looked, and he was under there tipping it back in. It's just an amazing play. Like I said, it would have gone down with like some of the best Boston sports plays ever if they went on to reach the championship or even win it. The game 7 after was a killer, but how do you take in that moment in game 6 and just the aftermath with everybody celebrating it?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, like, if you know Derrick White, the whole thing makes sense. And what I mean by that is, so I thought the game was over with. I thought we lost the game. When the shot went up, the ball comes out, my head drops. Man, I'm upset. I got to think about the summer. When I look up, I see Derrick running around doing this right here. Well, Derrick never shows like a lot of excitement, or he'll never show a sign of confidence unless he is 1,000% sure, like 1,000% sure. And so, what I mean by that is, we were running this place called Red Rocks, and so there's like kind of a pathway to get up to the top, and it's like a long pathway, and we had walked up it, and so I said, man, I bet $50, man, you can't run this. And he's like, I can. I'm like, no way. And because he knew, he ran it and he beat me out of $50. And like, so, but if he didn't think that he knew, he would probably be like, nah, that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know, that's a stupid bet. But like, if he knows that he's right in something, it's a guarantee that he's gonna be right.
I've seen him too with the trivia in the locker room. Like he'll be in there yelling. Yeah, it was a fun season. He obviously had a sensational year. We're all looking forward to the next. What's next for the team? What's next for him? So I appreciate you taking the time today, Marcus. Anything else you want to throw out there? Of course, people can follow you at NBN Coach on Twitter.
Yep. And, NBN Coach, Instagram too.
All right, everybody, check that out. Love following you. All the work you're doing with him, of course. Shout out to Derrick's dad too, who screwed up. I don't know if you saw the question right after the shot. It was me saying it was his first game winner ever. But I think his dad meant when he tweeted it out, first NBA game winner, because I was talking to his college coach and all that, and he had plenty of game winners in college.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I want to throw in real quick too. So Derrick has his big camp every year. And this year he's doing a top 30 camp for the top 30 high school players in the state of Colorado. So that's going to be next weekend, where we're going to gather 30 guys in for 3 days, and we're going to get in a lot of work. He's got some pros that's going to come in and play against these guys. He's got some college guys that are going to come in. So he's super, super excited about giving back to the community and doing this camp next week.
All right, we'll get more info out there on that. Appreciate the time again, Marcus. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and we'll see you in Boston soon.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. Have a good one, man.
All right, thanks to Marcus. Great chat. We'll be back next week, maybe something later this week if anything newsworthy happens. Team USA is about to get going. No Celtics involved in the World Cup now with Kristaps Porzingis out, so not a ton to watch for there from a Celtics perspective. Maybe you can roof some old friends like Evan Fournier and others. Daniel Tice playing for Germany. So that's about all you can get from a Celtics perspective out there. Of course, show our sponsors some love. Still rolling with this great offer from FanDuel, FanDuel.com/Boston. Bonus bets every time your Super Bowl winner wins. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. And HelloFresh, HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. That's CLNS50, the code for 50% off and free shipping when you head over there. That's America's #1 meal kit with a great offer heading into fall. Customizable meal plans that are pre-portioned and laid out for you to cook and enjoy in under 15 minutes. That's HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. I'm Buddy Man. This has been the Garden Report. Subscribe, Celtics All Access for news as it happens. CLNS Media for all our great podcasts this week and into training camp, which is going to get going in just about a month right now. So we'll see you then. And for now, have a great week.